I'm Amanda.
And I'm Mike. And
this is Saturday Morning Serial. What's up, everyone, and happy early Halloween. We are back with our Halloween episode, and I want to welcome back SerialFam, KG, Kevin, back to the podcast.
Hey, hello.
If you guys forgot, Kevin is a huge horror movie fan, just like me. And I mean, Mike, you're not really a horror movie fan, but here you are.
I'm here.
I was trying to get him to watch The Exorcist last night. No matter how cheesy I was trying to sell the film, you just wouldn't do it.
I don't like possession movies.
Yeah.
Neither do I. But I often do try to sell the film as cheesy when I'm trying to convince somebody to watch something scary. So I got that tactic, Amanda. I hear you on that.
I literally pulled up clips on YouTube and I was like, see? And I'm like laughing. And you thought like something was funny. It was the part where she like, her head is like going back and forth. A lot of people put music over that, like head banging, like rock music. It's so funny. But to start off, we are going to talk about, and what did you call it, Kevin? It's basically the train wreck that is Halloween Ends.
Yes, the dumpster fire.
Yes.
I mean, I hate to start on such a negative, but yes, I found it to be quite the dumpster fire.
I mean, that's okay because we love these movies, and I was very disappointed in how this whole movie played out and the direction it went, because the first movie in this trilogy was great. I loved it.
Same.
Second movie, okay. Like it was fine, right? And I think we talked about it last year, if I'm not mistaken.
And I liked it. I know a lot of
Mhm.
people didn't like it. I thought it was very true to Halloween. You know, he's walking around town and killing people. It totally was like Bride of Frankenstein 1935. It felt very out of the house onto the world, and I just felt like it did a great job. And then this one was
Mhm.
at all. I didn't feel like it picked up where we left off.
Right. Yeah, I agree. To start off, I was so confused with this whole direction of having this kid become kind of like the neighborhood babysitter killer, but it's almost like he got possessed by Michael Myers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but Michael Myers is a lone wolf killing person. Like he's like a complete serial killer, lone wolf, blah blah blah. But all of a sudden, we're getting into this niche of possession in this film. Like, why are we changing the tune of it? Right?
And it's not the first time Halloween's done that. They tried to do that with part 3. They tried to do it with part 6. They even kind of with part 5 were trying to do it a little bit. And each time they did it, they were criticized for it. And this time they did it even more than they've done it in the past. And I remember distinctly thinking about 40 minutes through the film as I was watching it for the first time, thinking, how are they going to connect this back to Michael? Because I have no idea what's happening right now. Like, I really don't know what's going on. Like, I know what's going on, but did I walk into the wrong theater?
Right. There was really, it wasn't a look and feel of your typical Halloween movies. It was just, I don't even know how to explain it. It was very, what's the word I'm looking for? You use the word campy all the time, but I don't think it was really that. But it was more like they were trying to make it modern with the teenagers,
Yes. Yeah.
and it just didn't work. You
Well,
can't.
yeah. And not only modern, but they were forcing so many characters, so many unlikable characters onto us that were just being set up to
Yes.
be killed. And it was just so silly. And nobody goes around town and just shouts at people like that. That doesn't, I mean, if that does happen, maybe it does happen, but I don't know of a town where it happens like multiple times in a day. Like, are these 4 teenagers just, driving around following this kid so that they can heckle him all day? I mean, they obviously would have a life too. Just everything just seemed very forced and pushed.
Mhm.
And we're led to believe after Halloween Kills that he's stronger than ever because the more people he kills, the stronger he is. Well, he's weaker than ever when we pick up in this
Mhm.
film. And I just don't get why they did what they did. I would love to have a sit down and figure out what was on their brain because I really have no fucking clue.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, because I immediately at the beginning of the film, when, and everyone probably should have seen this by now, it's on Peacock. That's how I watched it.
Yeah.
I believe it's still in theaters, and it looks like they had a goal of over $50 million for their box office, but it only got up to like 40 million.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean,
Um,
I'm sure the word of mouth had something to do with that because it was pretty known
mhm.
pretty quickly that it was so weird.
Yeah,
And
and yeah, so immediately, like, so I went into this movie knowing that the reviews weren't great, but I mean, I've seen all of them. I need to finish this one up, right?
mm-hmm.
It was just the opening was just again so weird.
Yeah.
Where was Michael? Michael wasn't even. I didn't even see any hint or hair from him. Like he just wasn't around at all. And this little boy dies, and it's like, was it a freak accident or was it Michael Myers' influence?
Uh, I think, I mean, if the filmmakers are like, oh yeah, that's where Michael Myers' influence started, I would be like, wow, you're stretching this thin, honey. You're pulling that cheese so thin it's gonna snap any second now because that's ridiculous. I thought, oh, this is interesting. They're kind of starting this movie off with this new character and this experience that he had, and I'm wondering how this character is now going to come into Michael's world. But that
Mhm.
was not what happened. Michael came into his world, and this is not Corey's world. This is not Boy Meets World, Corey. This is Michael Myers, and I'm so
Yes.
confused. I was so confused about Corey. Had he been in the previous two films, maybe I could have bought into this story a little bit better. But I just felt like also, I don't want to forget to say this. I remember in like 2002 or 2003 when I was watching interviews that Jamie Lee Curtis was doing for Resurrection at the time, and her saying how this was such an important chapter in the Halloween stories. And then, 15 years later, her coming out and saying, yeah, I was under contract. I had to do Halloween Resurrection. I had no choice. It's a
Oh.
terrible movie. So now I'm like, well, how under contract is she right now? Because I know she has got to know that this is not a Halloween movie.
Mhm.
And like, is she okay? Is she really okay with that? I don't know.
Yeah, I thought, I mean, she portrayed her character more the same, I felt like, but there wasn't enough for her, I think. I mean, I know there I don't know. It's just,
You have
and then she had her granddaughter, and how they were kind of distant in the second movie, and then like all of a sudden she is like overbearing grandma to her and stuff, in a crazy way. I mean, that is her, but yet I don't know. I miss just that character without like any family ties and stuff. Just her trying to take
it,
out Michael.
it does get convoluted with all the family elements. That makes sense for
Yeah.
sure.
And again, bringing up Corey, why him? Why did Michael Myers choose him?
And that's the other thing. I don't feel like Michael Myers did choose him. I find the whole thing to be very happenstance, which makes me feel very uncomfortable about the story. It's like he just tumbles into the tunnel and then all of a sudden I don't know if maybe Michael could feel the hostility in him or if that was, again, we're stretching this like cheese. Like
Mhm.
it makes no sense to me, none of it.
Yeah.
Specifically the fact that Michael is so weak and he's just gone. But taking one step back, it also makes no sense that for 40 years Laurie Strode is building a safe house and is super protective because of Michael Myers, who she knows is locked up. Yet she's still
Mhm.
doing that. But now he disappears after he kills her daughter, and she just decides she's going to go move to a new house in Haddonfield with no bars or anything. But
Mhm.
Michael's like loose, like he's not even behind like an asylum anymore. And
Yeah.
so just none of it matched.
Right.
Nothing matched up.
Yep, nothing. It was like a completely different movie. It wasn't even, I didn't even know, like, the characters at first, I'm like, "Do I have the right movie on?" Because and then the granddaughter, she was all grown up, and all of a sudden she's working at a hospital, and yeah, I was very, very lost. And but one thing I found really, again, confusing was that homeless man down by the bridge.
Mm.
Did he am I remembering this right? Did he say, like, he was Michael Myers?
You know what he? I don't know what he said. He made some comment about how he. In my mind, I kind of took that as, oh, this is a man who's not stable, and I think Michael has maybe identified that and left him alone, similarly to
Mhm,
the way he did it in Resurrection, where I think maybe Michael sees a kinship with people who aren't necessarily on what we would categorize as normal behavior.
mhm.
Um, but I also felt like that was a stretch. Like I didn't really, I don't know. But then, yeah, he did say something like, "Oh, I'm Michael Myers." Um, but I don't think to me that they had built up this non-coherent character who was just maybe shouting something random.
Okay.
I didn't feel like it was connected to
See,
that.
I see, here's what I thought happened. I thought that he saw the mask in the tunnel, and then he meets up with this homeless man, but Michael Myers is, like, somehow seen in this homeless man in Corey's point of view, and, like, the torch is kind of, like, mentally passed on or something. It
Well, he sees Michael
Yeah,
in the tunnel,
yeah.
and it almost looks like Michael's stuck. It
Mhm,
Michael was stuck in between two rocks, and then he was like he grabs at Corey, but he couldn't have been stuck because he had to drag Corey in to the tunnel. He
mhm.
dragged Corey in. But yeah, then it's like they see like this vision, and I don't know. And part of me is like, no, nothing was passed on. Part of me is like, Corey saw Michael. Michael saw Corey. I think that maybe they felt some sort of very hostile energy between one or the other, and Michael just let him go. Um,
Yeah,
but I don't know. I didn't feel, and also there was nothing like connected to how Corey was behaving and how Michael was behaving. Like it didn't feel like Corey was getting stronger and Michael was getting weaker. There,
mhm.
I would have liked to have seen maybe that happen, like to see Corey rising and Michael failing. But it's like Michael's weak, 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 and then all of a sudden he's able to stomp Corey's head in and kill him. I'm
Yeah,
so unclear of, and then he could fight pretty hardcore with Lori in the kitchen as he did. Um, and I mean, too little, too late. Talk about a saying that's so appropriate for this movie. You go into this kitchen scene, and it's such a good end fight scene. And it's like, where was this the whole movie?
right. Yeah, and another thing I found really weird was the forced romance between Corey and the granddaughter. What's her name? Is it Lindsay?
Allison.
Allison. Gotcha. Allison.
Lindsay's
Yeah.
the little girl who does the tarot cards. She's not a little girl anymore, but she was the little girl from the first movie that's the bartender and does the tarot cards in this movie.
Mhm. Okay.
You know?
Yeah, the forced relationship between those two was so unnecessary. I mean, I get it. One thing I do kind of see and got the point of was they have, like, similar outlooks on their town and all that stuff, and it was, like, interesting to see Allison's character go from, like, resenting her grandma, resenting the town, to accepting, like, "Okay, maybe this wasn't like, maybe it was just all in my head, maybe I am accepted," and I mean, I don't know, but again, I don't like the forced romance between the 2. What do you think with that?
You know what? I loved how horny she was. I was like, yes, girl, you do what you got to do. Get your tube packed. I mean, she was horny, and I was very distracted by it though, and to the point where I was like kind of laughing because I was like, damn, she is ready for it. And this boy, he is in the right place at the right time. I definitely think she chose him because of his past and it links up with her past. Um, so I didn't feel that it was necessarily forced. but I didn't feel that it was purposeful.
Yeah. Okay, I get that.
Yeah, I'm like on the fence. I mean, I think I guess in general it was forced because it wasn't purposeful, but I just think that that was maybe just in general it was. Like I just didn't think it yeah, like I don't know what the point was. I don't
Mhm.
know what the point of this movie was.
Exactly. I just I get so many questions as I think about this movie, like, but I did like the part though where so Allison's she works at a hospital and her coworker gets the promotion of the lead nurse because she's
Mhm.
banging the doctor
Mhm.
behind everyone's back,
Yeah.
and Corey kills them at the doctor's like vacation home or something.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. He was like trying to avenge Allison's rejection.
Yes.
But
Doesn't
again though,
does Michael Sh
that
in there?
I was gonna say again though, I think that is the first scene where we see Corey making the kill and then Michael Myers coming in as well and them two working as a team.
Right.
So
Which
again, that's where I'm like, okay, is Michael feeding this stuff into Corey's mind? Like, you need to go again. Like, I don't know. Do they have each other's cell phone number? Do they text each other?
yeah, I know they keep showing up at the same place. I mean,
Yeah.
it must be that they are linked. They're definitely, I guess they must be linked at this point. But it
Hmm.
feels very that part feels very forced because it
Yeah.
doesn't seem to have like I don't know, it just doesn't seem to come together in the way that it's supposed to. And then how is he so strong to go there? But then in the next scene, Corey's able to steal the mask away from him. It's not the very next scene, but it just feels like the writer and filmmaker were like, okay, we need Michael to be this strong in this scene. We need him to be this weak in this scene for it to make sense for this scene. But then
Hmm.
they weren't necessarily thinking about the whole movie as like a fluid, um, trajectory. And it was
Hmm.
funny though because I did think of Simic quite a bit. Simic, I said, "Ooh, this might be Simic's favorite because it's a buddy movie."
Why don't we have a buddy movie, KG?
Why don't we? We should make another movie.
I keep telling you guys need to come up with like something like Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The three friends, they just came up with something and they did it. Just they wrote from their hearts.
Yeah, yeah.
You guys are great. Like you would do it. You could do
Thank
it.
you. And you know what? I think you just said something really smart about this movie. I don't think there was any heart. I just think that this was a
Yeah.
contract for everybody. I think this was a cash cow. I think that this was, and they were like, let's try something. And it just was so not what we wanted.
Exactly. I feel like they had to get this movie out just to end the trilogy.
Yeah. And
It was just a forced film to be produced. And I mean, I know maybe the pandemic really didn't help anything, but still, the fans like you and I, you want to keep them engaged. You want them to want another trilogy, but now it's like, I'm good. If
yeah,
they're going to keep doing this, the character assassinations and stuff, no, I'm good.
yeah. I will say, in my mind's eye, the only way that you could kill these people, Freddy, Michael, Jason, is to like throw them in a blender and grind them up. And so when they did that to Michael in the end, I was very much like, yeah, that's the way that this was supposed to go for sure. Like that's the
Yep.
right choice. Like you absolutely need to make mush out of him to like make sure he's gone, gone, gone.
Mhm.
And I was talking to Maddie, and Maddie mentioned that one of our friends, and Maddie mentioned how um, he thinks that Allison may have gotten pregnant because of her hookup with Corey. And the mask was left on Lori's front table, and maybe it's insinuating that, there's a new evil that will be reborn. Whatever. And
Oh.
I'm just like, yep, the cheese just ripped. But I guess you can go that way if you want to. At this point, I don't think I'd be interested in seeing any other Halloween films that take place after this world version.
Michael Myers' Demon Baby? No, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm down to go back to, if we want to ignore 6 and up, and we can do a sequel to 5. We could even do a sequel to 4. We could do a sequel to
There we
6.
go.
There's so many options, and I think that they should play with it and have some fun because people want that shit right now.
Hmm.
Um, and I think they should just do it.
You want that Michael Myers multiverse storyline, right?
Yeah.
You want
Yeah.
different possibilities.
Yeah, and I think with this movie, what really I was became aware of for the first time is that I wasn't really as interested in Laurie Strode as I thought I was. I'm actually
Yeah.
more interested in Michael Myers, and I always thought I liked Laurie Strode better. But Laurie Strode was not in quite a few of them, and I still watched all of them. So,
Hmm.
I am starting to think. And then when this movie, when he wasn't there for the majority of it, I was like, well, I'm not liking it.
I thought that Laurie and Michael Myers were going to give the ending blow to each other. I
Mm,
thought they were just gonna both fall dead at the same time. I was gonna be so mad if that happened. I've been like, if this movie could have gotten any cheesier.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was a good call. Like I am glad that Lori lived and she was able to shred him up.
So, KG, how
Yeah.
would you have ended this? Like, just going off of what had happened in the last movie, how would you come into this movie and give this a satisfying conclusion?
Well, firstly, I think that the movie, should pick up on him being strong. Um, and I get that they had to go forward in time because of Laurie's wounds, and she wasn't able to run because she was stabbed in the stomach. So she would have
Mhm.
basically been killed if he would have come to her in that year. So I get that they had to travel forward in time. Um, but it just the time jump, I wouldn't have done a 4-year time jump. I would have probably been like, yeah, maybe the following year. But also the storyline that they built with this new, um, the new multiverse, this multiverse of it, it just so happens that it takes place on Halloween.
Mhm.
There's really no Michael connection to Halloween except for that he just so happened to get free on Halloween, both in 1978 and now in 2018. It's so theoretically they could have done a sequel that didn't take place during Halloween. And as a matter of
Mhm.
fact, it's almost kind of far fetched that it keeps happening during Halloween without there being a purpose. So perhaps in the third one, I would have made there been a purpose for Halloween being a day because they have previously done that. In the multiverse with Josh Hartnett, it was on their 17th birthday during Halloween in 4, 5, and 6, it was just going after family members on Halloween because of the Sam Hain curse. So there was
Mhm.
always something that linked it. And in this multiverse version, there's no reason it's on Halloween. It just is. So I may have answered that question. Um, but yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't know. It wouldn't have been like this. It would have been a lot. You know what? It would have been
Yeah.
a lot more standard though. So I don't know if a lot of people didn't like that either. So
I think in conclusion, I just really missed the whole thing of just them being afraid of Michael Myers for the whole movie.
yes,
Just one singular dude doing all these killings on Halloween and people like, whoo, Michael Myers is going to get you. And then all of a sudden, stab, like, I think that's ultimately because that's what makes these movies so classic is just him doing the stabby stab all the time. And that's it.
yep.
This
Which
movie just was not that.
and I loved Kills. I loved Halloween Kills. I thought that
Yeah.
that was so much fun. I loved watching him. Now, of course, him randomly running into people that we knew all over town, and he just so happened to be with the characters. Like there were some far fetched things with Halloween Kills, absolutely. But that was the movie we paid for.
Yeah.
We did not have this movie, and it was not a poorly made film. I have
Hmm.
another fun anecdote. So I I watched the movie in theaters and then I watched the movie on Peacock. And to watch it on Peacock, I had to get my subscription again, which I was fine with because there's a bunch of movies I want to watch. So I got my subscription again. All's good with that. And I started watching some of the old Universal horror film movies, the black and
Hmm.
white ones. And one of the ones that I watched was called The Invisible Man's Revenge. And The Invisible Man's Revenge is an Invisible Man sequel that has nothing to do with anything from the previous movies. It's all new characters. It's a random guy who's kind of obsessed with money and getting what he thinks is owed to him, and it really it didn't follow any of the story, but it was so cool. It was such a good movie, and at the end of the movie, it kind of like fizzled out. There were some things that were weak,
Mhm.
but the idea that it was so much different than the previous films, and I didn't care. And it was the fifth movie in that series. Now, that came out in 1945, and I basically saw that whole series, in 2005 or 2006. Like I saw it at that time. So it was years and years and years after it came out that I saw it. I wasn't even alive when it came out, obviously. And it didn't bother me. So I was thinking when I watched it, I thought to myself, in 10 years, in 20 years, when people watch these Halloween movies, is this one going to be as jarring to them as it was to us? Or is
Mhm.
it going to feel like, oh, okay, that's the way they did this one? Because I really liked The Invisible Man's Revenge, even though it was so wildly different from the
Mhm.
original films. Um, but when I watched it with Richie, our other friend on Peacock, when we watched Halloween together via Zoom, he had the same reaction as me, where he was just like, "Where's Michael? Where is the continuity in what this series is?" And it was at that moment I realized maybe this isn't going to be the Invisible Man's Revenge. Maybe
Right.
it isn't going to come through.
Yeah.
Maybe just because you had seen the original Halloween movies when you were younger and you're kind of nostalgic towards them, maybe in like 20 years, people just go through all the Halloween movies and they'll get to this one and it won't really matter to them because they'll be so nostalgic to everything that they're watching. And then a new Halloween movie will come out and they'll hate that one as well. So
That's exactly what I think it is, Sim.
that's what happened with Star Wars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like people love the prequels now,
yeah.
but when they first came out, no
Yeah,
one, no
that's
one did.
true.
That is so true. That is so true. Everybody hated Jar Jar Binks. Now we love
Mhm.
him.
I remember I got hated on for having a Jar Jar like squeaky toy from KFC.
Oh,
I was like, I love Jar Jar, and everyone's like, that's the worst character. And now people love him, and I'm like, excuse you.
yeah. I know, right? And you know what else always irks me since we are talking about Halloween movies? Tina is like so made fun of from Halloween 5. She's one of my favorite characters in Halloween ever. And
Hmm.
everyone seems to hate her that I talk to. They're like, oh, it's so cheesy. She's so cheesy. But I love Tina. Do you know?
Yeah,
Do you remember Tina from Halloween 5? She wore
I
the
do.
great, yeah, just fun. Fun, fun,
Yeah, I
fun.
don't understand. I mean, she's an asset to the story too.
I think so. I mean, I get
So,
maybe Rachel would have been better suited to fulfill what that character does.
yeah.
I'm not really sure why they killed Rachel off the way they did, but I liked that. Anyways, nothing could be lower on the totem pole for me in the Halloween series than Ends. I even prefer
Yep.
watching Halloween 3.
Yeah.
Is that the one with Paul Rudd?
No, Halloween 6 is the one with Paul Rudd. And Halloween 6 is, in my opinion, the second worst Halloween movie. It is just a little bit better than Halloween Ends. I hate that movie. I just thought it was so stupid. It's just so stupid. But you know what it has that Halloween Ends doesn't? A normal Michael Myers stalks a bunch of people and kills them story. And
Yeah.
you have to have that.
Yep. It's like a requirement, especially after this movie. I'm like, well, that's our thoughts on Halloween Ends. I mean, if you guys seen it and you disagree, please let us know. We would love to have a conversation of just what you thought we might have missed, or I don't know. But
Yeah,
yeah,
seriously. We would love to judge your
we were
take.
disappointed.
We were disappointed, but you know what? I still had fun.
Yeah,
I did
I
have.
did too. I was watching it, and there was like I was doing something else too. And the part where this guy gets his tongue caught off, it was like, it like made me stop everything and just like
Yeah.
be disgusted for a second. So like it still had that factor to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So Kevin, what kind of movies have you seen this year so far?
Well, I have been watching, I'm big on Disney movies, especially scary
Mhm.
Disney movies and scary Disney episodes because I teach third grade.
Right.
And I'm a film major and I'm also an education major. I have two things. So when I'm teaching, I oftentimes use films to help me teach, and specifically films that I grew up watching. And so I've been watching things like Don't Look Under the Bed and
Yeah.
Tower of Terror and just like the classic horror Disney movies from the 90s like that is just my favorite. Um,
I love it.
I hosted a Halloween night at my school and we watched Don't Look Under the Bed and there were 45 kids and we were all in my classroom and there was a few moms who were serving pizza and popcorn to everybody and the kids were screaming and
Oh.
they were scared but they were laughing and it was so much fun. What are you
Oh,
watching?
man, Kevin, I've said it once and I'll say it again. Those kids are lucky to have you as a teacher. I wish I had you as a teacher in 3rd grade.
I mean, I don't want
I'm
to
sure
be.
you make it a blast.
Yes, because I have to be there. So I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
we're having fun. Otherwise, I'm not coming
There you go.
in. What have you
Well,
taken?
we just saw um Barbarian. I did a review on here about that. We weren't too nuts about it. I thought it was okay, but Mike thought it was very disturbing, especially the monster.
Okay. I haven't seen it yet. I'm really excited to watch it.
Okay, that's on HBO Max now, so you have to watch that. And then we've been watching just some classic horror films. Mike turned on The Fly for me. I've never seen The Fly.
It's gross.
It is disgusting, but the
Yes.
storyline was great. I had a good time.
Yes, me too. My uncle actually made me watch that for the first time in May, and it grossed me out. And I have not been able to eat anything that a fly lands on ever since.
I heard a fly flying around in our bedroom and I had to kill it. Like I dropped everything I was doing and I had to kill it cuz I'm like if that thing lands on me,
Gross.
I'm not turning into the Jeff Goldblum
No.
killer fly guy.
That's so funny.
We sat down. We watched Tremors. Have you ever seen Tremors?
That is the reason I actually committed to Peacock because I wanted to rewatch the whole series. It's one of my favorite B movie series. Seven
Yes,
of them, all seven of them, I love.
I had a great time with that one too.
and
Mhm.
the TV show, right? There's a TV show.
Did it come out? I thought it was canned.
Oh, I don't know what's going on. It's just been so. It's like one of those classic movies that wasn't very successful, but people are so nostalgic towards it, and
I love it.
so many different spin-offs and
Have you
everything,
seen
TV
the
shows.
sequels?
Hmm.
Have you seen the sequels?
I remember watching up until the Tremors were like farting and flying.
Yeah, that was the third one. That was one of my favorites. And then, yeah, after that, it sort of got a little repetitive, but I still loved it.
I think they just made a more recent one that was like back to the roots of the Tremors just being in the ground.
Yes.
I don't know which one that was. Maybe I'll watch it.
The last four of them were kind of like that. They kind of after the ass blasters, that was what they were called.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
after part three, when they had the ass blaster, which was the third evolution, they were like, all right, enough. And so then the rest of the movies was just pretty much the worms. But the shriekers and the ass blasters did come in a little bit afterwards, but not too much.
Mhm.
Yeah, because
I had a good time with that movie.
yeah, it's good.
Kevin Bacon was great.
Yeah.
It was just all great. And
Yeah.
then we actually just watched Fear Street last night.
Oh, is that the three-part series on Netflix?
Yeah.
Did you
We
watch
still have
all
to
three
watch
of them?
No, we still have to watch the second and the third one, but the first one, what do you think, Mike? Was like a modern day Scream, but like I mean, it was kind of cheesy, but it was very entertaining.
It was really well shot. It was like a grade A like B movie. Like
Yeah.
there were really funny performances and there were great set pieces and it was a slasher movie and all the characters were just awful, awful people. But it was so much fun.
Yeah.
Like we're watching it, the plots got me engaged. Like there's different monsters in every scene. Like it's all tied together with this witch. Like it's great.
It's got
I
your name all over it, Kevin. You should check it out if you haven't.
I loved it. I loved it. I
Oh,
actually
you did. Okay.
maybe wanting to even rewatch it because it was so good. And I love that girl, uh, Jillian Jacobs. Maybe Gillian. I think maybe her name's Gillian actually.
Mhm.
From Community,
Mm,
the blonde. I don't know.
okay.
She was in it. Anyways. Oh, you know what? Maybe you didn't meet her character yet.
Probably not. We only watched the first one.
Yes.
We still have to watch the second and the third.
Yes.
Because
Okay.
Sadie Sink is in the second one. Um,
Yes. Yes.
yeah, the first movie though, yeah, I really liked Sam. I felt so bad for her.
I gotta rewatch it.
Like she was a great character.
Was she the one that was killed in the meat slicer?
No, that was not her. She was a bitch. Say la vie. No, Sam was the one that got cursed by the witch. Like she saw the witch and yeah, I really liked her. She was my favorite.
Yeah, I have to rewatch that show. That was a good one. That was
Yeah.
really good.
Is
And
it is it a show or is it a movie? Like it to me, it felt like a movie.
It's like a three-part miniseries movie.
Yeah, three.
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
ministries.
It feels like three tiny movies. Like you get a sequel for it,
Yeah.
which they're about to do for the Santa Claus, by the way. They're making another
Yes.
one with Tim Allen.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty scary.
I'm so excited. I can't wait. This is just the year of sequels and remakes, and I'm here for it. Like Hocus Pocus 2, loved.
Okay. Yeah.
I would fight anybody who said no, they don't like it. I loved it. I mean, I get why people might not like it, but I just thought it worked. I was happy.
You know, this is a really good time for the Hocus Pocus fandom
Yeah.
too. Like, I get so happy for people that get new things in their fandom, and I know no Hocus Pocus has such like a big following. So
Yes.
it's like I'm so happy for all the fans of that. Like, I mean, it's a decent movie. I don't hate it at all. I just prefer like Halloween Town over it. Um,
Oh, that is such a good movie. I showed my kids that movie this year too, and they were scared. So I couldn't show them the second one because I was like, oh God, like I
I watch that movie every year. And Mike and I, every year too, I tell Mike, like, oh, this one part used to scare me as a kid. And Mike goes, yeah, you told me that last year. Like
that
the part with Calabar and the theater, like that part used to scare the crap out of me. It's
well,
scary.
I thought I was going to get fired because it was at that moment that one of my students dashed under his desk and hit. I
Really?
was like, oh no, I'm sorry. But
Oh,
also,
man.
we should be able to handle a G-rated movie.
Right.
Like, come
That was a
on.
'90s. That was a hard '90s G though. That was
It
different
was
back
a
then.
hard 90s. G. I mean, it was, yeah. And then for Don't Look Under the Bed, I made them do permission slips.
Yeah.
I thought that one's scary.
Oh,
That one's
God.
scary.
KG, have you ever heard of this movie called Ernest Scared Stupid?
No, but is that part of the whole Ernest series with Russell?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I've never seen it though.
I turned it on because it's one of the movies I watched because I didn't have Disney Channel growing up. I watched Ernest Scared Stupid instead of like, the scary Disney movies.
Uh-huh.
And it's about this troll that comes out of the ground and like turns children into little sculptures of wood. And
Oh,
it's got like it's like it for kids. And
oh,
Amanda was like terrified of how gruesome and like horrifying this troll looks.
Like you thought the fly was disgusting. This troll was like uncomfortably
I
disgusting.
wonder if I did see that. What's it called? Ernest Scared what?
Ernest Scared Stupid.
Scared Stupid. I just want to see a picture of the troll.
Yeah, he was so
Oh,
disgusting. I'm like, God, how in the world? And then yeah, he turns these kids into what it was, carved statues or
Like
whatever.
petrified it's on, yeah.
Yeah, and very because in Halloween Town they're petrified too. But
yeah.
if you're watching that when you're a kid, that's scary.
You know what? This is the movie I did see, and then I remember watching Trolls and being like, I thought I saw Trolls, but no, it was this movie that I saw.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah.
Anything like turns I remember like as a kid though, like anything, like Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, when the basilisk would turn them into petrified stones or
Oh
whatever,
yeah.
like that used to scare me. And then there was this Pokemon episode where Sabrina
Mm.
made Misty and Brock into dolls for her dollhouse. That scared me too. So like as a kid, I always had this thing of like, oh my god, I'm gonna get frozen, and it's scary.
There were many disturbing things that were made back then, and they've definitely tapered it back, I would say. Um,
And it was like PTSD when I watched Frozen at the end when Anna turned into frozen ice. And I know it's not
oh,
scary, but like all the scary like kitty movies I watched in the 90s were like brought into my mind like,
that's
oh
hilarious.
no, she's dead.
That's hilarious. Well, when the one animal gets zapped by Calabar and he goes flying into the theater, my kids were
Yes,
and they were like, "He died. He's dead. That thing is dead." I was like, "No, no, no. We just probably went back to Halloween Town." Nope, he's dead.
he's dead.
Good times.
But yeah, like they don't that is one thing about that film though. It's like that one part you see how menacing Calabar is. And it didn't register to me until I was an adult where I'm like, he had the power to just wipe these kids out. Like he's straight up shooting these like blasters at Marty and stuff who is like 13.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
There
Very.
was no chill in that at all.
My mom was like, "Oh, maybe you could show the kids Hocus Pocus." I'm like, "No, I can't."
Yeah.
Between the eating children and the hanging, nope,
Yeah.
nope,
Nope.
too much.
But that was our childhood.
Yep, I'm so grateful that they didn't know
Yes.
better back then because that was fun.
And Mike, your dad would turn on movies that were like rated R when you guys were kids.
Yeah, KG, did you ever watch like the Keeper, like the TV show?
Yeah, I've seen some of that stuff.
My dad thought like the movies and the TV show were like the same thing, and the TV show obviously was made for TV, but like the movies, they had like f bombs in them, nudity, like gore, and he would rent the movies from Okina Video and pop them on, thinking it was like PG, and they were he was in for a run for his money.
I love Mokina Video, man.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace,
Yeah.
honey.
Just rest in peace to the video rental industry in general.
Yes.
Like kids these days will not know what it's like to have a slumber party on a Friday night and have your mom or a mom take you to the video store. And like my video store had like tapes, DVDs, or like the $5 for 5 nights
Yeah.
deal where you can just load up on the classic whatever like Disney movies, or we used to rent the horror films at night, like Darkness Falls and all those movies. And then like they also had like slushies and candy there. It was an experience. And it's like it makes me so sad kids these days will not know what that's like.
Yeah, they just open up Netflix and
Yeah.
scroll around for a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of instant gratification that's good and also hindering to certain experiences.
Mhm.
But oh well.
Yeah.
Glad I was born in 1990.
Right. Same.
Hmm. Hmm.
It was a good decade.
Good decade.
But anything else? Like I'm trying to think what have we've seen this year. I want to see Smile.
Me too.
That looks I Insidious, going back to our previous episode from last year, Insidious is my favorite horror movie in in all. And the part where like the uncomfortable smiles happen in that film, that scares the crap out of me. When someone just
Yes.
creepily smiles. Georgie in It, and in the basement when he's like staring at Billy and stuff. No. So this movie is completely scary for me. And I feel like if I watch it, I'm like one of those weird people where like I will watch something that I'm like terrified of just so I can like conquer a fear or something.
I
Yeah.
think the best horror movies are the ones that take something that you do in every day and they turn it into a fear. Like Jaws made you afraid of swimming, like Smiles making you afraid of people who just smile at you on the street. Like
Mm,
those are
yeah.
the best horror movies.
And there was nothing that made me scared of Halloween. I have to tell you, I didn't even.
Mhm.
I know there was that line where she was like, "Oh, maybe for him to die, I have to die too," but never once. I don't know. I never once felt nervous about her surviving.
Same.
I just kind of knew in my gut, based on the way it was going, I was like, "She's gonna live. It's gonna be fine."
Mhm. Yeah.
So
I agree.
Yeah.
So, Kevin, I really, really appreciate you coming back on. We always love having you
I
on.
love being here anytime.
All right. And guys, happy Halloween. Remember, you are not too old to go trick or treating, so get out there and get some candy. And we will talk to you next time.